Hello there, Team Asian K. If you're anything like me, a desperate loser, you know that currently relationships aren't what they seem to be. It seems as of 2025, the starvation for relationships has only gotten as desperate as we possibly can imagine. Funny enough, that being said, it turns out that a CEO of a company called Astronomer was caught cheating, having an affair at a Coldplay concert. We're gonna look at the moment and the reaction, but it's hysterical the fact that this even happened. Let's take a look and we'll see the people's consensus on this because it's pretty funny. All right, so here's the moment where it happens.
Yeah. Oh, look at these two. All right.
I see they're like on the jumbotron and they like kind of look embarrassed.
Either they're having an affair or they're just...
Yeah, so that is a very embarrassing moment. Everybody, I think, has had a bad moment, but that right there is one that is going to be there for time to be. Look, man, there's a lot of like I think there's like a lot of tweets where they're always like, the worst thing to be right now is a boyfriend or a girlfriend, and maybe that is true, or maybe it's not. Maybe maybe that's a bit of a overstatement. Maybe people are just scared. I think a big component is people are scared of love. You know, love hurts. That's something that is true. And look, something like this is obviously, you know, bad looks. It just is what it is. And what's funny enough is, as this happened in current time, it says Astronomer CEO's wife drops his last name from her social media profile after his alleged affair with head of HR was exposed at a Coldplay concert. So it looks like real time we've witnessed divorce. Like, they're taking everything. Hopefully they got a prenup. You know what I mean? So here's a tweet from Anthony Fantano. He says, "Thank God my marriage never got so bad that I needed to spice things up by taking the mistress to see Coldplay." Sorry, my alarm just went off. Hilarious. Okay. Wow. And here's a tweet from Drewski. It says, "Ain't nothing like that coworker wife." Ha! Bruh, Drewski skits all of his skits always end up like in reality. Like, they always end up being, you end up seeing it like take place in real time. It's insane. I'm not gonna lie, everybody's had that one coworker friend, right? We can't be the only ones, right? You know what I mean? Or am I is that TMI? There was this one time where I had a coworker that was pretty nice, but his things are really accurate. It's kind of, it's like best of both worlds, but it's also pretty funny how, you know, it's like basically perfect. Like, it's literally the exact same thing of that. Look, man, it's dirty out here, you know what I'm saying? Look, relationships are relationships, and it is what it is, you know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, you and your companion have to, you know, you have to deal with that. It is what it is. Like, you just can't, you can't control anybody, you know, and you just kind of gotta hope for the best. Like, 2025, at least, with like the with the release of like Love Island, stuff like that, I feel like, I guess relationships are like in people's minds, I guess, right now. I guess that's kind of what it is. I think we need to make America horny again. Look, population is collapsing. Okay, marriages are failing. People are getting divorced. No one's dating. No one's meeting people. No one's going out. I think the only way to do so is to destroy social media or like reinvent it. It's like, before, you just had like a life. Like, you didn't go out, or you didn't like use, like, people use social media as like a vehicle for attention and stuff now. And so like, that's kind of what people are like starving for. It's like attention, likes, etc., money, etc., right? But before that, you didn't really have anything. You kind of just were, right? You saw the people around you, and that was it. You talked to the people, and you never really saw yourself in the aspect of yourself. You just saw everybody else. So now it's kind of like, you know, you're seeing and dealing with hundreds of millions of people, billions of people's problems every day, and kind of having to see all that, and it can fluster people's judgment on fundamental reality, because the point of social media is to like is for communication and information. But a lot of the times what happens is these media outlets will try to outsource the minority as the majority. And so like something that seems like a big problem or is more prominent is actually a lot less in real life than it is compared to social media. Now with this, right, okay, obviously they are tricking. You guys ever heard this saying tricking? They're tricking right now, dude. And it's just hilarious because like, you know, it's just a goof. Like, it's just a goof. It's nothing really serious. I mean, I guess it is going to be serious. Like, we don't know about them, but obviously, you know, they're getting a divorce. You know, they're going to have to sell the house. The kids are going to be mad. The dog's going to have to get cut in half. They're going to cut the dog in half and share it. They're going to share the dog. But man, it's obviously it's bad biz. Look, relationships are always here's the thing, bro. Love hurts. I think that some people don't understand. Unconditional loyalty is how you keep a relationship forever, right? You know those like 80 plus year like relationships, 60 plus years. The only way they work is unconditional loyalty. It's the only way, and compatibility and common interests. But love itself it hurts. It's not supposed to be this like. I think people only want the good aspects of it, but at the same time, right? Balance. It's yin and yang. There's bad that comes with love, and there's good. Now, you know, you could try your best to outweigh the bad with as much good, but you know, it comes with some bad bits. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the person who these people are, you know, they end up finding out, you know, someone so etc. cheated or whatever. If they end up back together, a lot of times that happens. You know, they even though they sign a prenup or some shit happens, they still end up back together because at the end of the day, I think if they have like a family together, a lot of times you kind of have to make that like that detrimental sacrifice to keep the family together and stay with that person. It sucks. It's like a lesson learned type thing, but in order to keep the foundation, especially for the child, because that's what it really comes down to. Like if they have kids, that's what it really comes down to. Like sometimes you do have to make that sacrifice. It's like the worst as well, but I mean, think about it. That kid's gonna have to have like split parents, and then, you know, like the back and forth thing, double income, double house. It's just not good biz. But this is just a funny goof because these people are obviously like, you know, higher. I guess when you say important individuals, right? And you know, it happens to everyone, I guess. You know, let's see. There's a tweet from Buffy's. She said, "Cheaters are always so stupid. What do you mean you're an important CEO cheating in broad daylight and not expecting to get caught?" Hey, a cheater is gonna cheat. Once a cheater, always a cheater, though. Everybody knows it. Everybody knows it. Here's the rage bait tweet. If a man is not happy in a relationship, it's not his entire fault for cheating. You gotta look at both sides. Girl, shut the fuck up. Okay, what is that discourse? Is it? I think that here's what I think. Okay, I think that if you're with someone, holy shit. I think if you're with someone, right, and you both make that sacrifice to say, you know what, we're going to be completely monogamous, right? If you don't set the boundaries in an open relationship, because a lot of times after this happens, people either end up leaving or they just make it open. They just open the relationship, but they're still together. And I think someone is warranted to cheat. Hear me out. If all values have been compromised and boundaries have been broken. And what I mean is not warranted to cheat, but warranted in, like, what I mean is, let's say for instance, you're with an abuser, and this abuser has obviously emotionally abused you, financially abused you, right? Then the worst of the worst. You cheat on that person and then you leave them right after, right? Because you get your get back and you leave. And it's a fucked up experience, but that's the only time where actual cheating is warranted, like getting your get back basically before you leave them. Because it's not effective if you just cheat and then that's it. Like no one who is like, if someone is constantly putting in effort, constantly trying to make you happy, etc., financially, right? And then you cheat on that person, you are the wrong person. You are always going to be the wrong person. Always. Whoever cheats from someone who wasn't trying to be the worst, like was actively trying and etc. You know what I mean? Like if someone is obviously being the worst, abusing the person domestically, verbal abuse, financial abuse, emotional trauma, like using them, like, okay, you cheat on that person, that person should be obviously like, oh, well, duh, right? But something like this, I get what they're trying to say. Look at both sides, because that can be the case. But in cases like this, maybe, but this doesn't look like, they just look like this is their off fling. Okay. They just had a little fling and they wanted to, enjoy the, they wanted to hear those Roman cavalry choirs singing. She wanted to be his what did it say? Be my sword and shield. Her missionaries in a foreign field. Her missionaries in a foreign field, dude. For some reason she can't explain. Never an honest word. That was when I ruled the world. Look, man, once a cheater, always a cheater. Look, if somebody cheats on you, some people do get deserved to cheat on, let's be honest. Some people are pieces of shit in relationships and they try to use that as confines of susceptibility. So like they can be the worst person ever, and then if that happens, then you're like this bad person. But what I'm saying is, if someone has just regularly was like, you're just in a regular casual relationship, nothing was wrong, and then that person does it, they're obviously in the wrong. They're always be in the wrong. They'll always be wrong. So her statement makes sense in terms of looking at both sides, because it's always not black and white. But that gray area only really resides in specifications, like if the person was really abusing you that like the entire time, you get what I mean? And after you cheat, you have to leave them. You can't stay in a relationship with someone after you cheated. That's just, there's just no point, right? It's the cheater's fault for cheating. Circumstances can tempt you, but the cheater at the end of the day makes the decision. So whether or not, that's what I mean. Like, the circumstances matter, but the circumstances are not, it's not a circumstance where like, if that person cheat, then they should try to recollect this, etc. Most of the time, if that person cheats and you played your part and you were being loyal and you were trying, etc., right? Most of the time, you just have to leave. Most of the time. Because they'll probably do it again. Right? It just is what it is. The circumstances matter. That's what I mean. Like, if you were some like horrible fucker, like just the worst of the worst piece of shit, dude, or girl, for both sides, like I feel like it's warranted, right? That's just insane though. I wonder if they're gonna like get fired or something. Probably not, but still a funny scandal. Because like, I mean, does this really compromise business morals? It's a good PR for the company, at least. The company now, I've never heard of the company's astronomer. I thought astronomer was just an astronomer. I thought he was just astronomer, you know? But yeah, sad, dude. Sad to see. And maybe they removed their last name because they didn't want people to see them or find them, but I don't know. More than likely, they got a divorce already. More than likely. So yeah, that's really about it. I just want to talk about that. Oh, Team H&K, appreciate you guys for being with me. Okay, make sure you hug and kiss your companion if you have one, and I'll be sitting here hugging and kissing the air. You know what I mean? Nah, I'm actually too troll. All right, and that's really it. All right, my hugging together. See you later. See you when you order. Peace.